Hey guys, this is Wrench here, bringing of commentary. This is going to be the first hit between Jaedong and Midas, or Midas and Jaedong, if you prefer that. In the Hana Daetoo MSL 2010 spring season. Yes. This is probably the matchup I'm most excited for. Yeah. It's going to be on odd I2 to start things off. Okay, too fast. On odd I2 to start things off, Midas at the bottom right position as the red turn, have Jaedong the upper left position as the brown Zerg. TVZ. One of two non-mirror matchups. We have two mirrors and two non-mirrors. But so far the things are set up. There is a very nice possibility of a TVZ final yet again. And in fact, there's a nice possibility of a Flash versus Jaedong final yet again, where Flash might get his revenge, or Jaedong might reach the peak of legends and get 3 gold in each tournament. So he would reach the same peak, I believe, that Nada reached. But before any of that, before we get into the nitty-gritty, I'm gonna get some syncage done. 57, 58, 59. You guys know what that's for. For those of you that note, it's so that because I record my audio separately from the video, and then I have to sync them together and to make sure that when I say it at the correct time, actually it gets said on the correct time in the video. Because otherwise, everything is all strange and worthless. So yeah, definitely Midas has been an absolute revelation. Going to We Made Fox was the best thing Midas ever did for his career, by far. He's been playing very well, has really impressed me this MSL season. I'm afraid that I think there's a possibility that Jaedong is the wall that he shall not have to face, that he's going to have to face the beast that is Jaedong. But we're going to see whether his slightly unorthodox style of play will actually come in handy, because he doesn't really play that standard. He's not the type of guy that always goes for 1 racks into command center, into standard play, into, you know, pretty much what everybody else goes for. He needs to play a non-technical game, because if he plays a game of technical play, basically, who's the better technical player overall, I think he's going to find himself losing. Jaedong, the opposite side, I think he went for a 12 hatch. Just no adding is supplied. This is, of course, a 2-player map. And just overall, I think Midas definitely needs to add in a little bit of his own flair if he wants to play toe-to-toe against Jaedong. It needs to act in some funky old-school strategies. Not necessarily play safe all the time. Not necessarily play safe and defensive. It's very important not to allow Jaedong to dictate the flow of the game, because Jaedong, as a Zerg player, really can do that. Midas, meanwhile, is going to start off this first set with just good old standard play. Just going to start off with a 1 racks into command center, so he's just going to start off standard, going to try to get his macro up off 2 bases, and try to stay on that. Play a little bit defensive, start things off. Kind of Jaedong put down production hatchery, so he's most likely going to go for Midas off 2 bases. 3 hatch, he's going to have that spawning pull up very soon, probably going to rush to lair as he does so. Still don't see the extractor up yet, but I assume it's going to be on the way any minute now. Commands are about halfway down there for Midas, and he's still getting a pretty decent scout with a CV at the very least. Letting it go just as I say that, might want to continue microing that and make sure you manage to keep that alive. Only 2 more shots on the SCV, so just be careful in getting there. Meanwhile, getting his 2nd racks up. Still in refinery. He's actually not really hurrying his way to tech, interestingly enough. Usually you'd see a refinery come up just about this point to try to get that academy going and such. Evolution Chamber actually going to come for Jaedong, so I think this might actually be a switch up. Might actually go for workers instead. Could actually be a very good move, because I think that Midas is going to be expecting Mutalisk coming at him, so a tech switch at this point. Really good, really nice timing for this tech switch, because especially with that production hatchery, I think there's a good shot that Midas thought that his opponent would be going for. Pretty good chance that Midas thought his opponent would be going for Midas. Evolution Chamber almost thought, probably going to see a Hydrogen coming up soon alongside as well, and Midas meanwhile has his academy on the way. He's getting his gas up, so he's going to be able to produce off those 2 racks. And going to be able to get all those upgrades going, get them defenses going. We're probably going to be seeing an engineer bay from him as well to get some turrets in there. A turret, maybe at the side or in front of the barracks. A couple to cover the main, a couple to cover the natural expansion. So it's very important that you manage to use a turret to cover your production facilities. Okay, engineering bay actually getting some upgrades going to lair is on the way just now. 2nd extractor on the way as well, but I don't see any true production buildings at all. So I'm wondering whether Jaedong actually still doesn't. I don't think I've seen any single Zerglings out of him from now either. And Midas actually playing a little bit defensive, staying with all of his Marines instead of his own base. Probably just going to get some medics out now alongside. Might go for a 10 Marine, 2 medic push out to force Jaedong to put down some second colonies, because Jaedong doesn't really have that many units on the ground. Wondering what exactly he's going for. Third barracks now going to be on the way for Midas, and both players playing kind of defensively. Jaedong, I'm not really sure what you could call what he's doing defensive. It's kind of strange. He's not really... Didn't see any troops out there for him. Just getting his drone count up, just getting his academy going, finally putting down his Hydralist then. So it acts as a kind of partial blockade off that ramp. That's kind of a nice little building placement there. That is finally getting his Berserkings out there. And meanwhile, getting an Overlord inside of Midas's base and actually going to run that back. He doesn't want to get picked off by the Marines. Wondering whether Midas should actually have enough troops to go out and push if he wants to do that. Wants to be careful, though, that he doesn't get bypassed by Zerglings and then it gets his main heavily harassed. Just has to be overall careful with that. Jaedong gonna add, whoa, okay, and interesting enough, this is very interesting. Actually, Jaedong gonna add in a fourth production hatch, a fourth hatchery right now. So this is the second production hatchery. Midas moving a little bit out now. This forces Jaedong already putting on 2 creepy canals. For Jaedong knows he doesn't have much in the way of troops. He's actually, I think he's gearing up for some massive production build here. I don't really know what exactly he's going for. He's actually competing with Midas 2 base on 2 base right now, and no Mulus Scouts to go do some harassment. Has some Zerglings out there, but Midas will be able to handle them with Stim already in there. He's going to be able to handle the Zerglings fairly well. I think there was a dude explaining to his girlfriend or something what's exactly going on the screen, but very, very odd build that Jaedong's going for. I think he's going to focus on ground troops. He has quite a few Zerglings out there already, factoring on the way for Midas. He's going to be producing a lot of Marines off these 3 barracks, still getting, waiting on his range at the moment. Still not seeing a single engineering bay out of him. I don't know why. I think an engineering bay would be, he's actually going for factory instead of that, but I think an engineering bay would still serve him well just to get those upgrades up. Doesn't need them quite yet. We do see some Hydras out there finally for Jaedong. He's meanwhile going to lose an Overlord here to Stimmed Marines, and at the very least, he's going to be able to get some pressure. Midas desperately now going to be forced to fight back, only for Marines. Medics just now coming off the line, but still these are going to be able to penetrate right inside of that. CV's not coming off the line at the right time. Few Marines are needed here. CVs and Medics are going to try to fight this back. Medics and SCVs actually doing a pretty decent job. This Medics healing the SCVs. They try to fight back these Zerglings. Zerglings, I mean, we're going to be able, not going to prevent the faction from coming up, but I think there's going to be more than enough Marines this time to come up and pick off these Zerglings. The SCVs still coming off the line as well. These Zerglings are going to be forced back into natural expansion at this point. Bunker coming up just a little bit too late for Midas to prevent them from happening, and Jaedong one single Zergling still in there to keep getting scouting up. Finally going to expand the Tolkok base, going very heavily on the Zerglings there, but nice little attack here from, I think the Zerglings is going to get killed very soon. Oh, might pick off an SCV that was putting up supply, but Jeep and Jaedong going to move out a little bit now with his Zorkers almost catching some Marines in there. Midas still going to try to put on the pressure, also spotting the Tolkok position. We're going to see who actually runs with his entire force. Not going to keep with that force out there. Finally, yeah, I think he's going to run towards the Tolkok now. Jaedong going to be forced to attack that tribute to try to prevent that Tolkok position being taken out. What's good about this position for Midas, that he might catch those Lurkers out of position, but taking down 2 of the Lurkers, but getting quite a few of his own Marines picked off, fighting back the Zerglings right now. Has his medics out of position, not in place to heal his Marines though, so they're all going to go down. Midas losing his troop, yeah, kind of blowing air into his cheeks like, should have been able to do a little bit better there. Could have maneuvered around a little bit, but Jaedong doing a nice pinch attack by the Zerglings. Still Midas overall, adding in a second factory, so I think it was a starport there as well, so I'm wondering what this X is going to go for. I think he's going to try to get some serious ground forces out there. Also on 2 bases now, Jaedong just not getting his third. Midas still going to be able to sit on these 2 for a while. Do finally see an engineering barrier out there. Weapons 1 is going to be quite significantly late though. Jaedong, whoa! Huge amount of drones, so he's been focusing on a lot of drones. Usually when a Zerg player expands the 3rd time, he, a few drones go, maybe 2 to 3, and then he produces the rest, but instead he's going to be able to use that factory for production. Hatchery, I'm sorry, he's going to be able to use the hatchery production. Spire and Hive are already on their way for Jaedong. He's going to rush to Hive. With that Spire on there, I'm wondering if he's going to use that. Probably going to be for Scourge. And meanwhile, just going to try most likely to go for Devours. I don't think I've seen a lot of Zerg players try to go for very early Ultras, and it comes back to fail, to bite them in the ass. And Midas actually going to go for Vultures, and I'm really excited for this because very early Vultures with Mines and Speed, I think, already as well. I'm not altogether sure whether I saw the Speed or not. A 3rd factory going to come down, and he's just going to skip the tanks altogether. And this is actually very nicely because I really like this idea for Midas here because he's very good. He's shown a lot of, does not have speed on his Vultures, by the way. He's shown a lot of impressive play with that. The Mines are going to help to act as spotters for the Zerg army going on. It's going to help to act as a delaying tactic against those Lurkers. Some Lurkers are going to get, hold Lurkers here, nice hold Lurkers, scan, oh no scan for Midas. He's going to try to run off, losing at least 6 or 7, I think. Oh no, even more, 12 kills on one of those Lurkers. Not quite sure if that was all from that one single fight. I think one of those Lurkers actually survived from one thing, but still, nice attack there. Nice hold Lurker position there from Jaedong. Midas meanwhile going to get one Vulture right behind the mineral lines. No, unfortunately moved a little bit to the right, so still in range of that. Mines meanwhile going to go off, killing 2 lurkers. Oh, nice revenge. That was a nice revenge against those lurkers, against those Marines being picked off. Defilerman meanwhile on the way, and probably going to be seeing some Scourge in there. So he might actually switch up to try to go for some Midas as well, but it would be a very micro-intensive army, but Jaedong has shown many times in the past that a micro-intensive army is not something that bothers him much. Midas still going very heavy on the Vultures, going to use them, utilize them, and their higher damage-taking potential to pick some stuff up. Jaedong, meanwhile, I think he's thinking of threatening that 4 o'clock position, but a lot of mines ready. Ooh, picking off some Zerglings. Some Zerglings, of course, clearing up some of those mines. Most of those Zerglings actually getting taken out, and Marines and Medics now ready in position to pick that off. Some Lurkers are going to come in close, but I think, especially with those Vultures in play, Midas actually might fight this off pretty well. But really liking this play. He's going very heavy on the Vultures. Very unusual in a TVZ, and I really like seeing unusual stuff. Different kind of stuff. And Midas is a player. He knows he has to do something a little bit different to pick this up. Going in with Vultures while acting as nice blockers, coming in close to these Lurkers, picking off some of them. Medic Queen's also coming in from the back, scanning off locations. Mines also coming in and picking off a lot. These Vultures just massacring these Lurkers, following them all across the map, doing an absolutely magnificent job. Picking off a huge amount of Lurkers that Jaedong really needed as an attacking force. And of course, the Vultures also act as a nice counter to all those Zerglings. Not going to be effective. Not going to be very effective, of course, on their Dark Swarm. Jaedong, we're going to pick up the double gas to the lower left-hand position, but still, Midas over in a very good position, going to run up to the 12 o'clock position. Huge army up there, a lot of American Marines. There is a Defiler in play. The second colony going to go down in seconds. Only some Hydras. Hydras not going to be able to really help much. If the mines manage to come off, I don't think Midas has any mines there, and the Dark Swarm come off in a very nice position. The Lurkers are going to be bird right on top of that, and Midas not going to be able to push this in. He does not have any siege tanks or fire beds to help him in this battle, so he's going to be forced to push back here. Some losses, but not very heavy ones. Does have 1-1 upgrades at this point. Still no sign. I just think finally getting the science facility. Where are the there's the science facility, natural expansion. Finally going to be seeing some science facilities out there. He needs those to help support. He can't also always get scans off, so he's going to need those science facilities to help him support against those Lurkers, but still putting out mines all over the place in defensive positions, also just to help him spot. So overall, doing a nice job. Finally, Jaedong, of course, being forced to use, being a bit more Hydra heavy than he might want, because those Hydras are going to be effective against the Vultures. Oh my, no, killing several Hydras there, but still, those Hydras also with Carapace 2 upgrades, by the way, and the Vultures weapons 1 upgrades. Hydras are going to be effective against the Vultures, as I say that. Even more factories being planted down by Midas. This is insane army that is going for here. 2 factories getting upgrades as well. Holy crap, he's going to need another base soon. He's going to need another base soon. He's going to want to get that. If he gets a double gas to the upper line, he's going to be able to produce a huge lot. Actually going to try to run in for the Vultures, getting some of them picked up, but still going to be able to run by. Even more getting picked up by Hydras. So huge line of Hydras there. Only a couple managed to get out this inside 9 o'clock position, try to put down some mines, but altogether not managed to accomplish too much. Actually going to pick off 1 Hydra with 2 of those mines, and even more Lurkers being morphed in. Finally, some Midas canals at the lower left-hand position. Midas canals all over the map, and Jaedong going to be able to safely take the lower left-hand. Not quite sure whether Midas has scouted that yet. Okay, never. Just to say that Vultures have run towards that position, trying to pick off some drones here and there. Vultures do get picked off, but still, at least Midas knows that position, knows that he has to try to deny that as best he can. He's still playing. I mean, Jaedong has 4 bases right now. Midas on 3. And the advantage that Jaedong has is that Jaedong has a gas over, so he's going to be able to get some nice production going. But Midas Milo has done a decent job of fighting Jaedong back. He's done a decent amount of troop damage and utilizing those Vultures really nicely. And also keeping a pretty nice Medic Marine army up. Has a bunch of tanks at this point. Didn't even see him produce his tanks. A lot of factories all over the place. Huge Medic Marine army. So this is very micro-intensive army, but this really looks like a build that Midas has thought out. Well, it really looks like a very interesting idea from him. Not as heavy on the Vultures at this point, but I still think he has some factories out there that are only producing Vultures. Jaedong, we're going to try to go for a drop at the Natural Expo. Huge amount of Overlords. We're going to see with the Midas. Midas actually has most of his army out there on the map, so this might become extremely effective. Awesome turrets coming up right now, but they're not going to be in very good position. Not a lot of anti-air. Some tanks back there are going to be able to siege up. Second turret is going to come up just in time. Dark Swarm going to come up. Meanwhile, Midas probably going to push back entirely. Going to drop across the natural expansion. He's going to go for the main as well. Also, some SCVs and the Lurkers there. SCVs to engage the Lurkers. Some tanks coming up on top of the ramp. Vulture is also going to blockade that. Command Center going to get floated up, and Dark Swarm's all over the place. So I think the Command Center is going to get saved. But I don't think overall that it did some damage. Some SCVs picked up. Midas unfortunately going to lose one of his science vessels. Want to make sure that he doesn't do that. Actually has a troop out there being forced to focus on 2 different locations. But I think he's going to be able to clear up this position here at this natural expo pretty well. Jaedong's drop not doing as much as I think he wanted to. But still, Midas doing a fairly decent job of fighting back. He needs to go do some damage. I think he's trying to run up yet again to Zerglock position. No second count to defend this time. There are some lurkers there though in position. He has to be very careful. He needs some... Oh no, my god! Look at that play. I got over a control group of Marines. That is insane. Midas still desperately trying to clear up the position in the National Expo, but a huge amount of damage. Marines wants to keep them safe. A lot of the tanks get Dark Swarm coming in very close to the tanks. Tanks are just going to stay in position, unsieging a little late. Some of them are going to get taken off. Some of them might manage. Oh, actually, he's keeping them in position here. Why is he not retreating? Oh, retreat coming in a little bit late. And oh my god, his Medic Marine's getting caught in position. Tanks coming in from the back to try to support, but Medic Marine's getting slaughtered. That plague was huge. Went for the attack, and just getting that entire army plagued was absolutely huge move there by Jaedong. Finally, that natural expansion going to get cleared up. Midas needs to pick up another base for himself. I think he's actually done so, as I say that, towards the 3 o'clock position, so I think he's picked up another base there. He's on 4 mining bases, Jaedong's 4. Jaedong's still utilizing that 4 gas as well, and Midas still going very heavy in the vultures. Mined up all the entire area, so he knows when the Zergs come in, and he knows that mines are going to help him. Despite those overlords with speed, that their mines still going to help him a lot. Fight this back, has siege tanks all over the place as well. With armor 1 and weapons 2 upgrades, I do not often see mech forces against the Zerg this heavily upgraded. Even if it's a mech, when it's a mech build, you generally see a lot more Goliaths. But this very heavy vulture type tank army looks more like an anti-Protoss army than anything else. And it also has some Medic Marines out there to support. Ultralisk Cameron going to come up now. Scan coming off the lower left-hand position by Midas. Jaedong has actually a few idle drones here and there, but is very heavy saturation. Very heavy for a Zerg player, I feel anyway. Jaedong, I think, going to try to go for the natural expansion yet again. Turret's coming up there, but is it going to be? I think it's going to be a lurker drop, and I think it's going to be successful. Going to see how successful it is. 2 lurkers going to be able to drop down. No, lurker and Defar going to get a Dark Swarm on top of that. Tank's going to be needed to come into place, or a couple of fire bats to pick off that lurker. Lurker's heavily damaged, so he's actually going to go down. And was that a command center? I don't think that was a command center. I think it was my eBay or something. I'm not altogether sure. There was a floating building and it died. That's all I know. Midas, despite that one large loss there, one Scourge does hit the science vessel, but of course that's not quite enough. But still wants to be very careful to keep those science vessels. Does not have a very large science vessel count. Doesn't really seem like he's been irradiating much. Says of some science vessel here back home, but it hasn't been irradiating much. It does have a lot of Goliaths at this point. I'm wondering whether he's actually completely transitioned to mech at this point, because I don't see any of his barracks anywhere. I think he just floated them across the entire map to act as spotters. I'm not altogether too sure. Mutalisks now coming into play as well for Jaedong. I still think he's working upgrades for the ultra before trying to do anything. Midas going to try to pick up the upper right hand for Jaedong going to force a cancel on that. And just going to be able to cancel that completely out. Scourge not going to be able to land. Oh, actually, Scourge did manage quite to land, but not quite managed to pick off the science vessel. Almost managed to do that. Jaedong Mimo is going to be able to clear up the upper hand position. And Midas has completely switched over to mech at this point. Very interesting, very interesting. Like, those barracks are just floating around, acting as spotters all over the place. But definitely a very interesting build here from Midas. Now, of course, he's being forced to give up some of his maneuverability. His Vulture at the point, his own maneuverability. Oh man, getting huge tank line of his getting caught, being forced to unsiege. There's a lot of vultures gonna come in. What are they gonna do? No Goliaths in place, no anti-air, no irradiates. Oh god, look at those tanks just die. Finally an irradiate going down amidst those Mutalisks, but that's gonna get cleared up pretty well. And no Goliaths in play. Where are those Goliaths? Dear lordy. I think Jaedong just slowly but surely getting control of this map because getting control of this match because he has picked up the inside 9 o'clock for himself. Finally going to get pushed back there, but picked off a lot of those tanks, which are so crucial. Vultures cannot engage Hydras by themselves. They need the support of heavy damage splash dealing tanks, especially when there's Defilers in play. You definitely do not want the support. They are going to be able to fight off these Hydras here with SCV support and Goliath support just because they have a superior number. But overall, if you have a huge amount of Hydras and a good Zerg player utilizing them, you want to be able to get very careful. So this is a very insane, awesome macro TVZ. Seriously, I've been complaining about this, how stale TVZ is these days. It's always the same thing. But even though Midas went for seemingly a normal build, He's really switched up. 3-2 upgrades at this point. Very nicely upgraded tech, mech army. Gonna try to pick up this inside 6 o'clock. Got a lot of mines and vultures to help against this, or the and Goliath on the right side. So I think he's gonna be able to clear this up across the ramp. Some of those mines actually coming off. Not managing to quite pick at those Hydras, but still Goliaths do have quite a bit of armor and defense. Still Hydras are also fully upgraded, only Carapace 3 and weapons 2, but still also with tanks coming in from that. Should be able to clear this up. Jaedong still managed to produce a pretty large army. Midas needs to get this base going, and soon enough, I think there's going to be a massive fight over the right-hand corner, because whoever managed to get that, I think, might manage to control the pace of the game. Midas is going to siege up. The Dark Storm not going to be as effective. Awesome Overlords probably have something to drop across this. No more Dark Swarm. We're going to see Defal going to try to get another Dark Swarm off. Did consume some Hydras there, I think, but not quite managing to get another Dark Swarm off, so Midas is going to be able to defend this. I love that innocent look that Midas always has. Always looks so innocent. Always like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm just playing some StarCraft. Upper right-hand position is meanwhile going to get picked up by Jaedong. So if he manages to take and hold that, he's going to be in a very strong position. That second double gas. He has had that ultra cannon for a long time. I think he's just saving up a little bit of gas here and there, waiting until he has the Psy as well, until he can just basically use every single one of his egg for massive ultra army. And ultra army, of course, even if they're fighting against mech, still going to be able to absorb a heavy amount of hits. With Defiler support, really going to be effective. With Defiler and Hydra support, I think an ultra army is really effective. Meanwhile, now Midas is going to try to come up with his upper right hand. Going to try to clear some of this up. The old workers, what are the scans? Okay, never mind. Apparently, you don't need scans. Apparently, tanks can suddenly see things that others cannot. Going to siege up and try to pick up the hatchery. No mining still going up here by Jaedong, so I think he's going to actually lose this position. But it's not really a question of whether he's going to lose. It's a question of whether Midas is going to be able to take and hold it, because I'm not able to get too sure. Midas engaging with those Hydras, with those Goliaths a little bit at the front, but he wants to be very careful not to lose auxiliary units. Jaedong thinking of a drop at the inside 6, spotting all the turrets, gonna be forced back, and Midas might, as soon as that creep goes away, might try to pick up that upper end for himself. Science Vessel almost goes down there to Scourge, but that one single Science Vessel, one of the important things to make sure that Midas can spot the lurkers. Midas still producing a very nice army overall, not as large as it was earlier on. Still has some Goliaths in there, still trying to keep a heavy amount of vultures. And the problem, I think, for Midas now, he has not done that much to damage the army of Jaedong. Jaedong is controlling the pace of the game. Midas is the reactionary force in this case. He is the one that's being forced to react to everything that Jaedong does. Still some mines out there to at least spot the forces and spot those overlords flying around. And Midas, meanwhile, has a huge tank line at the upper right hand. It's as if he's waiting for Protoss to come in and splitting them out so that Stasis don't do anything on. Meanwhile, now it's going to be a huge drop on that 3, or was that 4 o'clock position? I think in the 4 o'clock position, yeah, huge amount of Hydras. Not enough forces. Some Goliaths and vultures are going to try to come in. There's a Defiler. Defiler going to go down. It did get one Dark Swarm off. There are some Hydras here at the 2 o'clock position, 3 o'clock position as well. That's going to go down. Midas, meanwhile, just sticking his tanks. I think he thinks, or maybe even knows that this is a diversionary tactic, but a diversionary tactic that works very well, because if he tries to pull the tank away, Jaedong's going to have forces to run at the upper right position and pick that up for himself. Tank's going to siege up and try to run away. Just as overlords come in and drop in. Ooh, seeing some Hydra drop in and just pop. Huge amount of tanks out there. We're still waiting on that weapons armor 3 upgrade on those tanks. But huge amount of tanks up there, and Jaedong still managing to mass up a huge amount of Hydra. Still don't see any overlords out there. Still think he's getting those upgrades, but still. And that's odd. A Science Vessel almost next to a couple of Scourge and just sitting there. Yo, what's up, dude? I'm over here, dude. Nothing to do, nothing to say. Another drop going to come inside the main. Vultures and mines in here to possibly clear up some tanks as well. So I think this position is going to get cleared up. Hydra's not going to be quite enough to clear this up. Some siege tanks, yeah, it's going to be good enough. But still, I feel Midas has now lost 2 of his mining bases. He still has that inside 6, but Jaedong going to try to go for 2-prong attack here. Siege tanks on the right side, up both ramps, going to be coming up Jaedong's forces. Midas is going to try to come in with some reinforcements. We're going to see how heavily Jaedong commits to the Dark Swarm. Going to come off. Some tanks still going to be able to help against this. Drop also going to come in as well. A bunch of overlords coming in. Tanks and Goliaths coming in from the back as well. Another Dark Swarm going to come off. Tanks on 2 sides. We're going to see whether Midas can manage to defend or not. SCVs still mining, and a bunch of tanks in the low ground, still going to be able to siege up across that Dark Swarm. Jaedong, we're going to penetrate up the ramp on the left side, the lower left side, with a Dark Swarm and more Hydras coming up across that ramp. up. SCV's coming off the line to try to repair the Commander. I think they're actually not repairing because I think Commander is actually not damaged at this point. Still some tanks to the right side. Commander is still staying up, but how long is that going to be? Commander going to be floated off. Another Dark Swarm going to come off very close to the tanks. No auxiliary force. The Dark Swarm on top of the tanks. Tanks are going to be forced to get off siege mode and run away, but actually SCV's under the Dark Swarm acting as blockading auxiliary forces to make sure the Hydras can't come in too close. Midas still losing a lot of his tanks, but still desperately trying to fight this back, but still sitting under the Dark Swarm. Most of the tanks, if not all of the tanks, to go down one early. Midas should pick up the last of the tanks. Midas still has a huge press in the upper end position, has a bunch of SCVs that are actually not doing anything. And Jaedong going to try to pick up try to run up with a huge army chosen position, but Midas now also lost the inside 6 o'clock. Another mining base just lost, and Jaedong definitely dictating the pace of this match has picked up the 12:30 position for himself. So Midas, meanwhile, desperately trying to pick up the right side of the map for himself yet again, but still he needs to get his economy going. This is an absolutely insane, awesome sauce game of StarCraft. Dear God, I love this. I am loving every second of this. Midas is still mining the upper right end, actually only using 1 gas right there. Needs to get some minerals going right now because he's lost a lot of his mineral mining bases. Goliath are spotting. Oh wait, there's an Overlord right there. I gotta kill that thing. And just let's see, the first person view Midas we see here, definitely see that he's only at the right side of the map. Unfortunately, just with that just with that very heavy mech army, he cannot dictate the force of the match. He is going to have a hard time dictating the flow and all of that, because the highly maneuverable army of the Zerg play is going to come in real handy. And Jaedong, look at that. He has a mass amount of excess gas. Just a mass amount of excess gas. Actually has a huge number of Mutalisks at this point to come in and engage as well. And still the Ultras Cavern just sitting there. Greater Spire up. So we're going to see, yep. Whoa, it's, some Guardians going to come in. You're going to need some Irradiates. I'm not quite sure how many. You have those Goliaths down there, but still you need Irradiates. Irradiates are what make sure that Guardians die. A couple Irradiates and a group of Guardians, and that's going to... And, of course, any anti-air flying forces. Valkyries, Wraiths, anything like that. Also absolutely slaughters Guardians. But now Jaedong's going to have Guardians. That's how he's going to pick up this upper right-hand position. Going to go in on rage across where the tanks are trying to come into range, across that little lake thingy. But they're just going to get sieged up. Oh, going to get sieged across, ironically enough. And the Goliath's not quite managing to fight back. Not enough anti-air forces. No turrets in position either. Tanks going to be forced to siege off. And Jaedong, this is going to be a brilliant attack by Jaedong here. He's going to have he has a huge ground army. And these Hydras also going to run in. Dark Swarm going to come off across all sides. Plague across all the tanks. Oh, man. Goliath's going to come in from the back. But I just don't think Midas at this point has enough fully upgraded army. And Midas, GG's, 1cc's. That he's in a hopeless situation, but still a kind of a grin on his face. And Jaedong, like, Jesus Christ, this guy made me work for that one. But absolutely brilliant game. Dear God, please let this be a best of 5. Please let this be a best of 5. Please let this be a best of 5. Midas, do not, if you do not disappoint me. You coming back into this. I mean, a part of me is rooting for Midas just because, well, he's Midas. He's one of the old school guys. He's one of those funky little dudes that I love to watch play. Jaedong is Jaedong, so I like both players. I'd like both of them to move on. But more than anything, I'd like them to bring us some good games, some nice games overall. Jaedong not at all looking happy at his victory, but that's, I guess, more like I won, but that's nothing, so whatever. We're going to see what kind of crazy crap Midas brings us next time and how it is that Jaedong manages to counteract that. But this time around, just his pure skill of the game, really pure mechanics, and just nice reactions, nice reading of Midas's moves at the right time, really managed to get him back in the game. Despite some very nice play from Midas during that entire game, some very nice moves by him there. I feel maybe he should have gone a little bit more vultures, should have gone around more of the map. Wow, God, that was horrible butchering the language, but he should have gone around the map more, should have utilized his vultures more to go around and harass, because he was using them so well early on to harass, and they didn't work out all the time because of sunken colonies and such, but I still think he should have gone around more of the vultures, try to do some harassment, plant down mines, try to pick up some drones, and unfortunately by not doing that, but not being maneuverable enough, during the second part of the game, I think he just allowed Jaedong to do what he wanted. Jaedong with a much maneuverable army, utilizing drops, Hydras, just fast-moving units overall. Did not go to Ultralisks at all at that point, but really utilized Dark Swarms as well, so he definitely deserves the victory there. But we're looking forward to more from these guys. We're going to see what happens. GG, guys. Wrenching out this listening. Hope you enjoyed. definitely one of the matches of the MSL so far. Hey guys, this is Ranch in your StarCraft commentary. This is going to be the second set between Midas and Jaedong in the quarterfinals of the Hana Daetoo MSL 2010. Still the spring season, guys. This is going to be on Triathlon. 3-player map here at the 7 o'clock position in orange, as the turn player is going to be Midas. That means at the 5 o'clock position in yellow, Zerg is going to be JD. Who, wow, look at those sleep lines. Dear God, that man did not have any sleep last night. Wow, that is just awful to look at. That is just awful to look at. Oh man, oh man, oh man. But anyway, Jaedong is leading this 1-0, and after an absolutely awesome first set, I'm really looking forward to see what these guys bring in the second one. A really, really awesome game by both players. Midas with a really creative Eminem into mech build. Starts off with Eminem and really turned out well for him. Unfortunately, couldn't quite manage to capitalize despite having what I believe was a fully upgraded mech ball. He did not quite manage to utilize it well enough to beat Jaedong. Jaedong managed to control the pace of the game despite that and got himself to victory. So damn nice play for both players though. So I really look forward to see what they managed to bring on this funky map today. This funky map Triathlon. Jaedong might even decide to go for 3 hatch build against the third player on this map. It's much safer than on many other maps. You can get in there, sneak yourself that first base inside your own base. A 12 hatch, very easy to get 12 hatch inside your own base. While it's a little bit more risky for a turn player simply because if your opponent goes muted, which is not rare at all, Jaedong is actually going to put on a natural expo at his own, put up his natural expo below the ramp, so he can doesn't box himself in or anything of the sort. Also, just so he can send out his overlords, and instead of not having to go past the location, so he can click the minerals with his units. On the opposite side, we do see a very quick refinery coming in here from Midas alongside his barracks to wall off. So we're probably going to be seeing some sort of mech to start off. Might be going in for some sort of early vulture harass. We're going to see what it manages to do. Vulture harass, of course, these days not as good against Zerg players because they always put down the sunken at the front the minute they spot the fact that mech is coming in. And unfortunately for Jaedong, he's not scouting his overlord in the right direction, so he's going to be forced to get a drone out there to get a scout. We're going to see what he manages to do. He did put up a very early hatchery, so he's going to be able to transition into a 3rd hatch fairly quickly. We're going to see exactly what it is. The first factory is going to be on the way now for Midas. And apparently he's just going to thinking of expanding off that, only mining gas with 1 receiver right now, so just 1 factory. Probably going to transition into, maybe transition to Eminem. We're going to see exactly what it does to do. We'll probably need to put down some sort of anti-muta defense because this is what Jaedong generally does, and it's also very good. We're already on the way now. It's also a very good idea on this map. I'm actually going to do some syncing now, as that was not possible earlier. 00, 301, 302. So mutas is a very good thing to do just in case the turn player tries to expand beyond those eggs without taking them down, because then you're going to get yourself in quite a bit of trouble. There he sneaks the CV pass. Going to put down the base safely there. But yeah, this exactly right. What he's doing here is a very risky thing to do, because if Jaedong is going to go for mass mutas right now, just going to go for a muta build, 2 base mutas, then he's going to find that location in an extremely risky position. Drone actually now moving up for Jaedong. So instead of this is very interesting. Instead of actually going for that base inside of his own main, he's going to sneak an expansion here at the 6 o'clock. This is definitely something Midas is not going to be expecting. So when Midas go out to scout, he's definitely not going to be ready for this. SCV come off the line. Starport now on the way for Midas, but we're going to see what the SCVs come. 2 SCVs going to come off the line to repair the supply depot, make sure that nothing comes through. And I don't see any single Marine out there, so Midas not even getting a single Marine to defend. Just the fact that those Zerglings were able to attack the supply depot without any resistance, yeah, right away gives Jaedong an inkling of what's going to happen. Sees the Vultures inside the base. He actually floated up the barracks, and the Zerglings came up with a Vulture. A Vulture can handle a small group of Zerglings fairly easy, but so as long as you just patrol micro it a little bit. Sunken Colony coming in at the front, but Jaedong still getting at 6 o'clock down, and I really don't think Midas is going to be able to spot that for quite a while. He's actually going for Wraiths and getting an armory alongside. She's going to go with some Wraith out there, maybe just do some Overlord harassment. There's Overlord, meanwhile, has spotted this, so he's going to try to run for his life because he knows that whatever's coming out of that, the fact that the Wraith is coming out of that starport is going to mean death for him. But we're going to see whether Midas actually tries to transition some sort of Valkyrie build here. going for some mass anti-mutant, maybe go for Valkyries, because alongside turrets, really the best way to defend that base at the lower left-hand corner that he took up beyond those eggs are turrets and Valkyries, because you're not going to have anything on the ground. He might also go Wraith, but I'm not altogether too sure. You might want to have cloaking Wraiths toe-to-toe. Can have a hard time facing off against Midas, because usually the Midas will quite outnumber by quite a bit, so getting those Valkyries out there is a much safer bet. Control tower going to come down, and the armory comes up as well, so we're going to see whether the next thing that comes out of there is going to be a Valkyrie just to defend against that. Against those Midas that might be coming away. There is a Spire up now, and Wraith Mule going to go in there, try to pick off a second Overlord, might manage to do this, so this is a little bit of a harassment that Midas going to manage to accomplish. Second Overlord going to go down, so definitely nice harassment here for me. Some supply blockage going to be coming in here against Jaedong. Also going to expand, meanwhile, at that 3 o'clock position. That is absolutely insane. Turrets now coming up, Goliaths on the ground. So that's what the armory's for. We're going to see, wondering whether we're going to see Valkyries alongside or not. Some Scourge out there as well, being ready just to pick off what I assume to be Valkyries coming out of that starport. So Muta's also coming up now for Jaedong, and Midas still does not know about the 6 o'clock position, does not know about the 3 o'clock position either, but I think it's a very critical factor. You can assume that the 3 o'clock position will come up eventually. Oh man, I don't know why the second Scourge didn't hit, just stopped right in front of the Wraith, so that's kind of funky. Gonna be forced to run that Wraith to the safety of that Goliath, see will the Goliath manages to save its life, and the Goliath managed to get one shot off, but not gonna manage to do much else. And just a couple of Goliaths down there on the ground. Probably going to be seeing some more turrets. And there is a Valkyrie coming out. Valkyrie going to go right towards the lower left-hand position to defend against Midas. Should be some turrets there as well, because one Valkyrie is not going to get it done. Couple of turrets, third one on the way. Actually, 2 Valkyries. No, there was a Valkyrie there. Okay, 2 Valkyries alongside several turrets. That should get things done as long as the Valkyries don't get hit by those Scourge. Midas is going to come in there. Valkyrie is going to force those Midas back instantly, so that's not going to accomplish much. Midas with a fairly good defendable position. But unfortunately for Midas, Jaedong is getting a huge economy, going to get 4 gas going, and Midas still has no idea, and he's not going to have an idea for a while until Jaedong manages to build up a huge force, manages to build up his economy really strong. Then Midas is going to have, oh crap, why does this Zerg guy have so much? He's really going to surprise him, but with this, he's going to be forced to play very defensively. He has 3 Valkyries out there so far, maybe he's getting more, but he's going to be forced to play very defensively, so now very anti-air defense. He's also going to try to pick up that natural expo for himself at that 9 o'clock position. And meanwhile, just going to go along that side, that Wraith, and those Valkyries just going to try to... Oh, going to lose that Wraith, though. Whoops. Stopped it, tried to pick off, but should have actually run them down to the safety of turrets or Goliaths instead of doing what he did. But hey, getting it Wraith picked off. Not as serious, but still you want to keep those units to do some anti-air stuff. Scourge also out there for Jaedong, so they're going to be able to help him out against those Valkyries as long as they don't become too much in number. Jaedong going to expand beyond the eggs at the upper left hand. He's just picking off a lot of risky bases, but at the same time they're not a huge risk because Jaedong knows, actually Midas just moving out across the ground right now with some Valkyries and some Goliaths, but he knows that there's nothing really to contest him on the ground aside from those Goliaths, so if he just takes expansion, he should be able to defend them fairly safely. Some of them Scourge. Oh, one Scourge managed to land, and the Valkyrie does some decent amount of damage, so might want to get an SCV out there to expand. Jaedong going to move yet another drone out there to expand again. So he's going to just try to massively out-expand Midas. Midas is going to have his 3rd base up soon, but not really soon enough. He doesn't really have much in the way of units at all. Just have some Goliaths out there, put up his 3rd refinery, his 3rd factory. He does not have any army out there so far. So Jaedong's just going to slowly macro up like crazy. Might just switch up into mass Hydras, get some lurkers alongside, and win that way. Has Carapace 1 on those Mutas, definitely necessary against those Valkyries out there. Also going to expand at the 2 o'clock position. His base at the upper left hand almost ready at this point, and he's expanding like absolute crazy. This is madness. This is madness. No, this is Spartan. I'm sorry. Muta's going to come in here, going to prevent one turret from coming up. Bunch of turrets that are ready, and Valkyrie's coming in just in the nick of time. Going to get a bunch of burst off. This is going to be a trap. It's a trap. Armalog Bar says it's a trap. Scourge coming in here. 1 Valkyrie goes. 2 Valkyries go down. 1 heavily damaged. Oh, man, this is what happens when you don't listen to Admiral Akbar. Oh, God. Oh, those Wraiths, Valkyries. Oh, my God. All the Valkyries are gone. Turrets now the only thing, and oh, Midas is this is gonna be in a lot of trouble now. No turrets up there. Muta's gonna be able to do a hell of a lot of damage. He's gonna be forced to pull back. Beautiful position there for Absolutely beautiful position there from Midas. Just now taking down that Arbiter, and those eggs still invisible. Just something he should have done ages ago. So he's not going to be able to do much at all against this. Jaedong is putting up bases everywhere. He's also now denying Midas one of his 3 mining bases. Midas just not going to find us to take some of those eggs out, but still his bad in his absolutely horrible position. If he floats that command center up, those Scourge are going to land right on the command center to pick it off. So just no way. Dropship going to come in as well, but that's going to be a little bit late to help against those eggs. Some Goliath's going to come in here, try to push these units back. Midas got a very large number of command center, less than half, almost a third of its health left. And Midas looks like he's in a very bad position because Jaedong has bases everywhere. He's not saturating all of them yet, but he's going for Queen's Nest at this point. He's going to be able to go for Hive, going to be able to do a lot with that. Still has a lot of those Mutalisks out there, very heavily on that, just controlling the map. Turrets here at the Natural Expo, a lot of Goliaths though, so I don't think Mutalisks are going to be able to accomplish too much at this position, but still in a very large amount. No Valkyries anymore. I think 4 or 5 Valkyries altogether were built, and all of them have been taken down, so that's a huge amount of gas that has now just been totally wasted because he really, really needed those Valkyries to help him against these Mutas. They do that necessary bit of damage that's necessary, but oh god, Mula's going to come inside of this lower left-hand base yet again. Almost no turrets up. There are some Goliaths coming in, but Mula's going to pick up a lot of SCV, building turrets, pulling off turrets, picking everything off. Goliaths just don't think they're in a large enough number. I think the Mutas can just safely engage the Goliaths and pick them all off. More Goliaths coming in as well, but Mula is still engaging all the Goliaths here like crazy. Finally, more Goliaths, and there might finally be in a decent enough number to engage these Mutalisks, but still, Jaedong keeping in those Mutalisks, still engaging those Goliaths, trying to pick them off. Now finally going to be forced to push back once he realizes way too many forces for him to engage. But still, Midas has been harassed very heavily. Finally has some tanks out there, but I don't even know if he knows about all the bases that Jaedong has, because Jaedong just has such a dominant position, going for 2 Evo chambers, so he's probably going to mass. I don't know if I should say Hydras, because I think he might just be massing Ultras here. I think he might just go ahead, mass Ultras, and go and just bam. Kabam, yeah, kaboosh. And Midas will very quickly afterwards find himself dead. Jaedong also going to expand the 12 o'clock position, so this is going to be absolutely insane. Carapace 2 upgrade on those Mutas. I'm not quite sure. He might even switch into something funky like Guardians, because those Valkyries aren't in position to do as much damage. Goliath still can do a heavy amount of damage to him, but no Valkyries, it's less of a risk with no Valkyries in the air flying around. It's definitely less of a risk. There's going to be a Defiler Man coming out, so probably going to lessen the chance of that. Probably might even work on Carapace 3 on this Mutas, because he really has a huge amount of them, really been utilizing them well. Weapons 1 on those ground forces from Midas, but still he's not a very good position. Has a science facility out there, but still only on 3 bases, and one of them has been very heavily harassed. The armory is going to be, one of the armies is going to just get taken down. Second army also be doing upgrades. Midas not in position to save this. I think that second army is going to go down. No SCVs coming up the line to repair. Second army going to go down as well. So Jaedong also going to make damn well sure that Goliath's going to be delayed, more Goliath's going to be delayed, and that he stays away in the upgrade war, adding in production hatcheries at this point finally. And I'm just really looking forward to see what tech route he decides to go. Ultralisk Cavern, yep, that's it. Ultralisks going to go mass upgrade Ultralisk, get those upgrades going, get that armor upgrade, get that speed upgrade, have some cracklings alongside some Dark Swarm, and I don't think there's actually anything that Midas is going to be able to do against. This just looks like an absolute dominant setup. A Terran mech ball against Zerg isn't as deadly as it can be unless it has some upgrades going, because right now it's just weapons 1 upgrade. That's just not enough. Jaedong also going to expand yet again the upper right hand. Probably going to pick up the inside 12 o'clock natural expansion, and Midas just looks nervous. Okay, no, actually, never mind. It's actually going to go to the upper left hand. But he's picked up both of the bases at 12 o'clock, so Jaedong almost has the entire map aside from that left side that Midas taken. I think he's also taken that inside mineral only near his main and his natural. But I'm not quite sure if it's saturated yet. Also now finally moving up towards this lower left-hand position to try to pick off some of those bases. Jaedong meanwhile going to react to this by going for this lower left-hand base yet again. There are a huge amount of turrets there, but I don't think nearly enough to defend against that. That upper left-hand position is going to get picked off by this Goliath. Once again, Colony not going to manage to do that, but I still think Midas will take way too much damage at this lower left-hand position. There are still some turrets in their life, but way too many Mutalisks out there. Midas going to sacrifice by not leaving some of his Goliaths behind. Would have been well done to do that, but yet again, going to lose a bunch of mining. This is definitely a sacrifice Jaedong will make. I'm losing one of my Godzillion. Jaedong loses one of his gazillion mining bases just to pick off one of Midas's 3, so that's definitely a a nice trade for him. Might even pick off the, it does pick off the command center. So Midas looking in a lot of trouble. I think Midas at this point basically just has to go for it right now. I don't think basically the longer the game goes on right now, Jaedong going to be able to mass amount of ultras, and Midas just going to go for this. Going to go for what he's used to going for against his Protoss opponents. Has not meanwhile rebuilt his armies. He definitely would have wanted to be 2-1 up. Okay, there you go, one army there. He definitely would have wanted to be 2-1 upgraded like he does against his Protoss opponents when he goes for this push. There are even going to be Nidus Canal and Sunken Colonies ready for him, and Dark Swarms, so he's not going to be able to break this. Dark Swarm is going to come down right now. Tank's going to siege up at the range, but I don't think there's enough siege tanks. Some Mutalisks going to come in from the back. If they manage to pick off those siege tanks, this is going to be the end of it right here. And Midas just in absolute dire straits. He needs to get something done right here, right now. Needs to pick off these Nidus Canals. Needs to pick off the Sunkens. Needs to go and do some damage. Meanwhile, I think Jaedong is just going to go back home. There are going to be some Goliaths to defend some Goliaths also being caught in transition by these Mutalisks. But I don't really think Midas is going to be able to accomplish too much. He might manage to pick off this Natural Expert, might manage to do something in there and push in. But I just don't think he's going to have overall enough to finish this off. Plague going off on a lot of his Goliaths. Some Siege Tank also coming in. And Mutalisks going to be engaging in more Goliaths here. But I think at this point, the Goliaths might do enough damage to force those Mutalisks away. Actually, Jaedong in the process plagued one of his own hatcheries. And probably going to lose most of his Mutalisks here. I think the Goliaths are very heavily damaged, but he is going to lose the last Mutalisk. So he's lost most of his Mutalisks, but still has more than enough to fight this back. Has Ultras at this point, which I believe, do have their armor upgrade at this point. And Dark Swarm coming up, so the tanks is going to be forced to siege up and just going to die under this. The Ultra is going to be able to do more than enough damage. Some Goliaths are at the back, but that's going to be the last of Midas' attack force. Managed to pick off one more hatchery, but still just not enough. He needs to be able to compete. He needs to have that base of his. He needs to have 4 to 5 mining bases at this point to possibly even compete. But even at that point, I don't think he's going to have enough. Trying to pick up a base at the inside, 12 o'clock there. Trying to hide that from Jaedong, but I just don't think he's going to be at all successful. At the most, he has Goliaths at their weapons 1 and armor 1 upgraded, but he's going to be facing Ultralisks that are going to be Carapace 4 and weapons 2 alongside Cracklings and Dark Swarms and Plague, because he doesn't even need to go really for Plague. He can just, for Dark Swarm, I mean, he can just Plague these Goliaths, and that's going to be enough. Just get 1 Plague off, retreat for 2 seconds, then get back in and do enough damage. Midas smartly going for some drops at the right side of the map, trying to do some damage. I think that was actually at the 12 o'clock position, north side of the map, but he's trying to do some counter harassment, trying to do some damage, but he's just going to lose bases here. Ultras with a bunch of Dark Swarms swarming in. There are some Irradiates coming out from that Science Vessel, but just not enough. SCV is going to get picked off. The Commands are probably going to go down. Is going to be forced to float, so there's not going to be any mining at this space now. Some tanks and Goliaths desperately trying to hold Jaedong off, still pushing in very far with these ultras. I think at this point, I don't think he's going to be able to push in all the way. Some mines might come down as well. He might have managed to get some of them down because he does some vultures out there, but I just don't think he has enough forces at all. He's meanwhile picked off that base at the upper right position, so he's desperately trying to get back into this. Going to now drop inside, right inside the Beyond the Minerals secondary at the 3 o'clock position. Try to do some damage there. I'm not quite sure he has enough in that to do that, but at the very least he's forced some of those ultras back from his natural exponents to this base. Here's some mines coming off, but still Midas in a very, very horrible position. Now the ultras are going to come in straight for his natural expansion. Oh man, some tanks here on the upper right, on the ramp. Oh, and some nice splash damage there to pick off 2 ultras in 1 shot. But SCV is trying to be forced to fight on top of the ramp, and Jaedong just streaming in a mass amount of forces. Everything he streams in and dies, he can just force more down as soon as he does that. 1 Irradiate going to come off an Ultra. Yeah, pulled back right there. Some more mines. He's going to be pulled back to eat some mines. Oh man, eat some more mines, and just not good. He wants to use those mines for more. And now their upper left-hand base, Midas trying to pick up. Midas desperately trying to fight back. He knows if he can get some mining going, if he get some resources going, if he can get some army going, he can slowly but surely maybe crawl himself back into this game. Do that thing that villains do when they die in movies under a bunch of rubble. Their hands pop up and go, "Ah!" And then it goes to be continued, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. Jaedong just way too much, streaming with way too much. Still some harassment coming in here from Midas with a Vulture inside the Holcock position. Not quite the Sunkens there to help himself defend, but he needs to do more than this. There need to be hatcheries dying and basically the only thing left there just scorched ground that can't be built upon yet again. He's desperately trying to push out with some Vultures, planting down some mines with tanks at the back. Oh, carelessly losing a Science also there and getting him his Vultures plagued. But he needs to get that base running again that he had inside 9 o'clock. But before anything else even thinks of happening, Midas GG's. He knows at this point way too much there for Jaedong. He's 2-0 behind, but Midas doesn't really look all that worried. He also looks like he hadn't slept in a while. Both these players will look tired. But honestly, Midas just looks like, you know what, I'll do my best. And it always seems to be the case that when veterans, you know, the veteran guys, the old guys playing the MSL, they always seem to get to the quarterfinals. Saviors and Nada's runs in the Lost Saga, they got to the quarterfinals. Kanada's run in the Avalon was to the quarterfinals, and now Midas's run will, in most likelihood, end here at the quarterfinals. We're going to see what happens. So, I'm going to bring you guys the next set. GG, wrenching out this listening. Hope you enjoyed. Hey guys, this is Ranchin here, bringing you a commentary. This is going to be the third set between very tired-looking Midas and an extremely exhausted-looking Jaedong. Poor guy got like 2 hours of sleep, if that. Dear Lord. Anyway. It's going to be on Fighting Spirit. At the lower left-hand corner in purple, we're going to have Midas playing Terran, of course. At the upper right-hand corner, we're going to have Jaedong playing Zerg, as usual. He said, yeah, finally, Zerg, thank God. In teal, of course. Man, look at the back. Oh, dear God, man, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. I don't quite understand it. I don't quite feel it the same way, but I feel your pain. I think, you know, being a pro gamer during those times is pretty much the same what a student has during finals. Long nights, lots of studying and fun and joy. Oh well. Anyway, 47, 48, 49, and 50 for good measure. Oh. So 2-0 for Jaedong now, and he's definitely looking in a dominant position. And Midas definitely looking in a bit of a bad position, and I think he's setting out a significant... Okay, that's interesting. That's barracks, forward racks with no supply. Is that forward 8 racks? That's interesting. So I think his Midas might be thinking of setting himself up for a bunker bust. We're going to see what he tries to go some sort of bunker rush, trying to take advantage of the fact that Jaedong might be going for a 12 hatchery on this 4-player map. We're going to see how effective exactly that turns out to be, though. Jaedong, of course, not going to be able to scout him right away because this is cross positions, and that already, just the fact that this is cross positions is already kind of a bad thing for Midas here because it'd be a longer rush distance. Jaedong also sending out a drone to scout, so that drone eventually is going to be able to spot this. Going to go to the upper left hand first, then going to go down to the lower left hand. So it's not going to be too long until Jaedong knows this happening. He is putting down a hatchery. He is putting down a 12 hatch. So in that case, it definitely helps Midas. This might be successful, but it's also going to be paramount that Midas is going to have to go out there and scout. Also going to take him a while to scout the fact that Jaedong's got this going on. He's going to spot this Overlord, and this is going to spot Overlord. Very lucky with that Overlord in that position. He's going to tell him, oh, okay, well, so he's at the upper right hand. And that's going to tell Jaedong that Midas is definitely at the lower left hand position. I think the first Marine are also out now, moving up towards that natural expansion. We're going to see what any more SCVs moving out. I think it was actually a second. Yeah, 2 SCVs going to move out, so he's definitely going to go for a bunker bust strategy. We're going to see how he manages to do, he manages, though. Going to put down a bunker quite a bit away from the hatchery, though. I don't think the bunker was actually definitely away from the hatchery, just across the bridge. He was actually not going for an attack on the hatchery so far. He's just going to put up a partial defensive position here at the bunker here at the front. Quite a few drones going to come off the line, though. SCV's no way they're going to be able to get the bunker up. Way too many drones out here for JD. Yeah, the Marine just one SCV almost getting picked off. 2 SCVs and the Marines is going to be forced back. Another Marine going to come in, but just no way Midas. At the very least, he's going to be able to be annoying and try to pick off a drone or two. 2 Marines, 1 drone goes down, but that's going to get surrounded. 1 Marine goes down, SCV goes down. Second SCV probably going to go down as well. At the very least, this is damage in that Jaedong is getting a lot of drones, being forced to put off a lot of drones. But now the Zerglings are going to be out in the way, so the bunker are going to get abandoned. Apparently, Midas. Oh, 3 idle SCVs, dude! Come on! Oh, that's the whole point of you doing that, forcing those drones to line. You have 4 idle SCVs, dude! 4 idle SCVs when you have 1 base up. Come on! You're picking off drones. The whole point of this, you're picking off drones and force them to come off the line. Having 4 idle SCVs is not what you're supposed to have. Oh no! Oh god! Midas just looks like he's setting himself for a pretty bad position, putting up a supply depot off this. He has a bunch of Marines here at the back to defend, though, so at the very least he can manage to do that. But I think Jaedong at this point going to I think he's just gonna rush to Midas and try to deal damage with that. And we're gonna see what he manages to do there now, because yeah, I'm not quite sure whether Midas is ahead or behind right now. Production hatchery out there now for Jaedong. So Midas probably just gonna stick to Marines now. For now, we're gonna see putting down a refinery and an academy. So yeah, the refinery timing isn't really early or anything, because Zerglings are coming here try to harass. Oh my god, that ICV is insanely damaged. So Zergling managed to come in and pick it off. Does manage to come in and pick it off. Dear lord. Oh, Midas instantly goes gulp as that happens. Like, oh dear lord. Forcing the CV off the line to build up the supply depot to act as a blockade. Second extractor going to come up. So most likely it's going to be Midas. Very heavy gas coming in here for Jaedong. And we're going to see whether Midas is going to have the response to this or not. He should have. So he's going to have some barracks out there. He's going to have some medic marines. Should have some stim in range by the time Midas come in here. Going to have to use a lot of turrets to defend himself as well. I feel that early attack was not altogether too successful. I think it would have been more successful if it didn't have so many isolated ICVs for so long. Wow. Just quite long, really. Just kind of painful to look at, really. But Midas, meanwhile, has set himself up for a fairly good defensive perimeter. Has that base up pretty well. Now he just needs to get his engineering bay going and get some turrets out there, and then he's going to be able to defend this fairly well. The Nitro Expo is a little exposed to Mutalisk on this map, so there's definitely a lot of potential for Mutalisk to do a lot of damage. So he definitely has to be very careful and all that. Has to make sure that the turrets range the Mutalisks from there. And that is, medic marines can run behind that and do as much damage as possible. Has some medics out there as well. Going to be stim ready. Range going to be on the way. Still don't see an eBay. Where's the eBay? Oh my god, though, if he doesn't get an eBay down right now, he's not even going to beat... The turrets are not going to beat the Mutas if he doesn't get an eBay out. I think he's thinking of going out there and putting on some pressure to force Sunkens up, but there are speedlings out there. He has to be very wary of those. Has to be very careful how he runs against those. He's not going to have weapons one against those Mutalisks out there. That's also going to be a trouble. Never mind the turrets. But I don't see any eBay out there, and I'm really hoping for his sake not forget. There we go. There's the eBay. Oh, Midas, I'm sorry for ever doubting you. But still, Midas does not look like in the best position. He's going to be able to get his defenses up, but I still think Jaedong is going to be able to control the pace of the match with his Mutalisks out there. He might even manage to do some damage if Midas doesn't get his defensive perimeter up, defensive positioning up quite proper. Still doing a good job. One medic actually thinking of actually a little bit open in no man's land, does manage to barely save its own skin. 2 second count is going to come up at the front, so that's the little bit of that Midas managed to do here at back home. Bunch of Zerglings going to come off the map. Oh god, they're going to slaughter these Marines. No medics to support. Marines going down. 4 Zerglings still alive, still trying to pick off some damage. 2 of them still alive now. Bunch of Marines going down. They're going to go inside the main. Might even manage to pick up some SCVs off. And oh my god, this is scary to look at. This is horrible. Jaedong just abusing Midas here with just every little bit that he has. Not gonna manage to pick off his last Marine, but still every little bit counts here. Ready, Marine, but still every little bit counts here. Ready, picked off a lot of Marines. I think it was 7, 8, maybe probably more Marines that he picked off, and all those so necessary to defend against these Mutalisks. And Jaedong, we're going to just expand the low left-hand position, so he's going to try to pick up that, take that option, just in case this game goes to the late game. He's going to pick up the safer. He's thinking about the safer 4th gas. No turrets up yet for Midas. Oh Lord! 1 turret comes up. That's going to get taken out. Some Marines are trying to still do some damage, but the Mutalisks are among the SCVs. The bunch of SCVs being picked off. No turrets up yet. Medic Marines desperately trying to come in here to fight, but the Mutalisks in such a large number that managed to micro pretty well against this. Finally, Jaedong going to retreat, losing a Mutalisk as he does so. But Midas lost a lot of SCV in that. Now Hydra is then coming up, so it might switch up into some lurker action on the ground alongside. Also going to pick up his 3rd, and Jaedong, yeah, Hydras, yeah, most likely can become workers very soon. But yet again, he was going to come inside the main, pick up the turret. Medic Marines in position to come in there. Some SCV is going to die yet again before the Mutas fly away. Midas desperately trying to micro against this. He's mining off these 2 bases, but he's losing a lot of SCVs. Doesn't have a very good position. He's locked inside of his 2 bases. He has to work on them. He doesn't have that Terran bow he needs. He needs a larger force, but he lost a lot of his Medic Marines, his Marines, to a lot of Zerglings. And Jaedong's just going to keep these Medic Marines inside of his base, picking off SCVs before they manage to put turrets up. picking off a lot of SCVs. I don't even want to know the number of SCVs that have been picked off at this point. We're going to see Submarine's going to come in here at the right side and the left side as well. Kind of close the Middle skin a little bit. So a couple of Middles dying there, but still Jaedong doing an absolutely magnificent job. Going to start mining at the low right-hand position. Already working on his hive. Wow. And my throat is about dead. Oh, God. Anybody who's thinking out there of becoming a growling vocalist, don't. It's bad for you, man. It is bad for you. Especially if you have a commentating career. Oh, I dream. Another Mutalisk gets picked off as it goes inside the base now and trying to do some damage here. I think it actually picked up a turret before it got up, but not altogether too sure. Midas apparently thinking of pulling out a little bit with some of his medic marines, but he doesn't have any science social support. There are lurkers now waiting at the lower right-hand position on top of that ramp to pick off any foolish mortals that are trying to go and do some damage. There are also some lurkers near the middle. Everything just waiting for Jaedong to spring a pincer attack, spring a trap that can be used to completely rape whatever Midas has in the ground. He has some siege tanks to help against lurkers and against sunken colonies to break the front, but I just don't think he has overall together enough to do what's necessary. There are quite a few lurkers on the ground, some Mutas in the air to support some Drogons as well. Going to be Defilers coming in to support. I just don't think Midas is going to have enough against these Defilers. He doesn't have a single science vessel out there so far. He does not have a large enough army. I think he needs to have more tanks, a few more medic marines. He's going to need to be forcing to get some forced to get some firebats out there. Yet again, these Mutas alongside Securities this time to support against any impeding science vessel coming. Going to go in there, get right on top of the barracks. Just going to pick off everything that comes out. Medic marines going to be forced back yet again to try to defend against this bunker being put down at the front for Midas. So prevent those lurkers from coming in and busting him, but still not in a very good position to be. Science vessel out the way, and this just still looks like total domination from Jaedong. I mean, he's not crushing overall, but he's done enough damage that you can see you can see the cogs in Jaedong's head turning. So that slowly but surely, he's just turning this game into a position for himself to win off. It's just that simple. Midas is not going to... There's no way Midas is going to be able to go out there and expand. That's the big fear I have here. I don't think Midas is going to have enough to go out there and safely put down expansion, because Jaedong's going to be on that in seconds. He's going to have Defilers, Cracklings, Mutas. He's going to have everything out there to prevent any sort of expansion coming up. Has some lurkers coming in, going to burn down even more tanks, ranging them, deal some damage. He has the science vessel, thankfully, but I could still get taken out. There was some Scourge there alongside the Mutas. A lot of danger to the science vessel, so at the very least, Midas still managed to do something. He's trying to pull up to the upper right hand position. Meanwhile, now the lurker is just going to go down the lower right hand. Midas dripping in sweat, dear lord. Ooh, some Midas actually flying around and actually get caught by medic marines. I think Midas just going to start sieging on top of that upper right hand position here. We're going to see how much he manages to do. I don't think he's going to manage to do much yet. I'm going to delay this as long as humanly possible. He has Defilers out there right now. Actually going to go for a full frontal attack and natural expansion. There's a dropship there as well. Scans coming off to help against this. Tanks and medic marines. Not quite sure whether he has enough. Lurkers are going to kill everything here. This bunker going to go down. Marines splatter in death the second that bunker goes down. And meanwhile, now Midas is going to try to accomplish something at the front, and then that's his last chance. I think he just needs to go for a break right here. Needs to go. That's exactly what he's doing. Medic Marine's coming in here. Is there going to be something to come off? Dark Swarm's coming up. Medic Marine's going to be forced back and have weapons one, armor one, but they can't fight what's under the Dark Swarm. Meanwhile, now Midas is going to be forced to float up his command center any second now, unless he doesn't. But he's going to lose that base no matter what. Some of his tanks are going to go down. 2 tanks are going to go down before the unsiege and fly back, and just with that one single or a couple of Defilers, he's going to go down. Midas at this point smiling. He knows he's lost. I think he knows at this point he has only 1 mining base, and it's his main. He still hasn't picked up a third. Jaedong's sitting quite well on these 4 bases of his. Now we're going to see whether the Scourge can manage to come in and... these might actually be in here just to pick off the command center. I'm going to see. Nope, they're going to go for the drop ship, and one of them going to get picked out, but making sure that there's going to be no harassment coming in from Midas by picking off that drop ship. Lurker's going to be finally forced back, and that commander going to land down as he's coming off the line like, oh god, mining. But you even look at his main, almost no saturation there. His natural expansion not going to be saturated much at all either. And Midas just not in an economic position to do anything. Jaedong putting on the pressure. He's not picking off another base because he knows that Midas is in a very bad economic position despite being on 2. Just putting on the constant pressure. Actually going to move out with a Defiler here that's not going to get irradiated. But this is going to be the final attack here. I think Lorca's going to just across the bridge, going to attack some of these Medic Marines across it. And Midas just does not have the forces, and he's sweating bullets. Wow. But I'll look at these Lurkers. Oh, another tank goes down, and Midas GG's. And with a massive smile that could have even been a cry, I don't know. But I think Midas just had a massive grin on his face there. Oh, well. I love that guy. Seriously, Midas. Sorry, man. Sorry, man. Oh, well. Jaedong, meanwhile, just, oh, God, I want to go back to bed. So he's going to move on to the semifinals. And now we have only one matchup left to be decided. And I'm going to get on that soon, I guess. Ugh. Oh, well. Ah, crap. I got to make anti-spoilers. Damn it. GG, guys. Renjin not assisting. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you guys enjoy what I'm doing for you. Oh, poor Midas. Go get cast in the Pro League, dude. Go. Do it. Anyway. Yeah, later.